What's up, G.I. Joe fans? Welcome back to the M.I.B. Master Toy Museum. I'll be your curator today. Guys, we got another cool one for you. Blast from the past. All the way from 2000, we bring you the Timeless Collection 3 G.I. Joe Ford Observer set. This was a cool set, guys. That was a remake from the 1960s that was sold in the Sears Roebuck catalog. And it drove kids back in that time period absolutely crazy because you were able to get this beautiful set with a ton of accessories and equipment. And back then, Hasbro, let's bring this guy down. Back then, Hasbro sold a lot of separate items for G.I. Joe. Whether it be extra clothing, a lot of this stuff came on cards of their own, individual cards with extra, guns and bullets and grenades, you name it, rifles. And then you could buy G.I. Joe separately as an individual item. So Hasbro, even then, was very savvy about their marketing schemes to get mom and dad to come out of their wallet or purse for more money. Because once the kid was inside of a toy store or a Sears Roebuck company and they saw G.I. Joe by himself, and then they would look over right across the aisle there and you had carded equipment sold individually, separately. Now they wanted that too. So the kids really made out like bandits and mom and dad was parted from a little bit more money. But it was a beautiful concept. And Hasbro, fast forward to the year 2000, said, let's reproduce this beautiful set that was sold all the way back then in the 1960s. And you could purchase this set all the way back then in the 1960s, and it was almost identical to the 2000 version, or I should say the 2000 version was almost identical, replicated identically to the 1960-something version. I want to say it was 1965, 1966, somewhere around there. Guys, if you're just joining us, welcome to the M.I.B. Master Toy Museum. We're hanging out in our museum today, just relaxing. Got some vacation time here. So let's put some videos out for our subscribers and viewership's viewing pleasure. And today we're going to be hanging out with our Timeless Collection 3 G.I. Joe Ford Observer set. This is a beautiful set. It's one of my favorite sets. Primarily, because it has a ton of equipment. It's one of my favorite Timeless Collection sets, I should say. You see our G.I. Joe is in beautiful condition. He's factory sealed. C10 museum example, practically C10. The box has some flaws to it, but not many. And I've had this ever since 2000. I purchased it from Toys R Us. But I had this particular set on my radar screen, I should say, with my G.I. Joe Collectors Club monthly newsletter, which pretty much kept me pretty much updated about this particular figure. The Joe collectors couldn't wait for this guy to come out, especially the Joe collectors that were kids in the 1960s. I didn't have the luxury of having this beautiful figure set because I'm a child of the 70s, so I missed out. But the cool thing about it is that Hasbro replicated a lot of these beautiful older sets from the 1960s and has given us collectors here a chance to really touch history again. Guys, what do you think about our G.I. Joe Ford Observer set? Do you have this guy? Are you looking for this guy? I'm trying to... This poncho here is beautiful here. Everything is set. No rubber bands. You guys know how I feel about those rubber bands. Everything is plastic fasteners. Map case, foliage, rope, you name it. Everything is locked in pretty good. Phone case there. Beautiful brown boots. Rifle. And there's those classic vintage G.I. Joe hand sculpts. This is before the Kung Fu grip, guys. And you look closely at the helmet. It's got a very fine netting over the helmet. Beautifully done. Let's turn this guy around. Just a beautiful, beautiful set. Get you a back shot here. The artwork on this particular set was just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's bring this guy in a little bit there and get a little close shot. You can see this is the Ford Observer set as it was sold back in the 1960s. You can see our G.I. Joe here in all of his glory here, all of his splendor. And this drove kids wild, absolutely wild, to be able to have all of this excess of accessories and weapons at their disposal for playtime. Being a kid growing up in the 1960s, I can only imagine how fun it must have been, really being introduced to G.I. Joe first. So this was just a really fun set, and a lot of the collectors that I've spoken to that actually purchased and own this particular set loves it. Here, get you a year here. You know, Hasbro 2000. Here's the backstory on the Ford Observer set. Right. 1966. That's when it came out, 1960. I was pretty close. Yeah, 65, 66. I was close. I think I hit it right on the nose. You can pause your video if you want to read that wonderful information. There's some live photos here of G.I. Joe in action. This was just a really cool and fun set. This was not a cheap set. I purchased this set back in 2000, and it was close to $40 then. So it wasn't a cheap set. None of the Timeless Collection sets were really cheap. You paid a little bit of money for these sets because they were replicated from the vintage versions of themselves. So you paid some money, which was fine. I had no problem paying because you wanted a part of history, even if it's just a little part. You wanted a part of history, especially to have a set that was so popular in the 1960s, and to have it in C10 museum example quality here at our museum, to me, was a no-brainer. So just a fun set. And we wanted to bring it to you guys today. I'll get you some close-ups here. The collectors love the close-ups. Beautiful head sculpt. That iconic scar. The poncho, I love the poncho. It's locked in pretty good. Everything's factory sealed. Map cases, grenades, knives, you name it. And over here, off to the side, very sneaky. It's the only thing about having it, the box set up this way. You could see the field phone. And let's get you, we have here's the equipment list. I want to know what that other pack is. You got a camouflage, yeah, field radio. What's that other thing? So you have two camouflage field telephone, and then you have a camouflage field radio. So you got a camouflage field phone and a camouflage field radio. So this guy came with a ton. You know what? And I've had this set, I kid you not, I've had this set for nearly 18 years, and I'm still finding things I didn't pay attention to when I first purchased it. I'm finding new things on this set every time. I haven't looked at this set though. This is probably the first time I've really looked at this set in about maybe, oh man, probably maybe 11 years. We have so many G.I. Joes here at the museum. So that's another thing which makes it so much fun doing these videos and bringing these guys, putting these guys on TV for you guys to view, is because I'm just as big as a kid seeing these guys again. It's so cool to come down to the museum and to look at some of these G.I. Joes that I just haven't seen in decades. Guys, we'd like to thank you for hanging out with us today in our museum, checking out our Timeless Collection 3 G.I. Joe Forward Observer set. You know the routine, guys. God bless. And keep collecting.